Welcome to Dreamy Mystery. Here's what makes no sense about our human story. We picture the dawn of civilization as a slow, arduous climb from simple hunter-gatherer bands to settled agricultural villages, then to cities and empires. We imagine a linear progression, a steady march from crude tools to sophisticated technologies, from basic survival to complex social structures. But what if that narrative, the one etched into our textbooks and popular understanding, is fundamentally incomplete? What if it's missing an entire vast chapter, a chapter so profound, so terrifying in its implications, that it redefines everything we think we know about our past? We're taught to believe that our current era, the Holocene, which began roughly 12,000 years ago, represents the only period of advanced human culture. Yet, scattered across the globe from the depths of the ocean to the highest mountain plateaus, lie anomalies, structures, artifacts, and persistent legends that stubbornly refuse to fit into this neat linear timeline. Tihei whisper of an age before our age, a time when civilizations possessed knowledge and capabilities that, by all accounts, should not have existed. These are not mere primitive societies. These are highly organized, technologically adept cultures that built on scales we struggle to comprehend even today. And the most chilling part, they vanished, almost without a trace, swallowed by a catastrophe so immense it became a universal memory, a great flood remembered by nearly every culture on Earth. The terrifying question isn't just how they built what they built, but what they knew, how they lived, and why they disappeared, leaving behind only these enigmatic echoes. If you're enjoying this journey through history, hit that like button and subscribe so you don't miss future episodes. And I'm always curious. Drop a comment letting me know what city and time zone you're watching from. There's something special about knowing this story is reaching people all over the world. Let's start with the obvious question nobody asks. What if some of the most ancient, mind-boggling ruins on Earth aren't just old, but survivors of a world utterly different from our own? What if they were built not by the nascent civilizations we've painstakingly catalogued, but by something far older, far more advanced, a civilization that existed before the cataclysm that reset human history? Think about this for a second. The sheer scale and precision of some megalithic sites defy the tools and knowledge we attribute to their supposed builders. This is where it gets genuinely interesting and genuinely unsettling. Our conventional timeline suggests that sophisticated civilization, meaning large-scale agriculture, organized cities, monumental architecture, and complex social structures began around 6,000 to 8,000 years ago in places like Mesopotamia and Egypt. But then you encounter sites like Göbekli Tepe in Turkey, dated to around 12,000 years ago, pushing back the timeline for monumental construction by millennia. And Göbekli Tepe, as incredible as it is, still fits within the Holocene, our current geological epoch. What we're going to explore are the whispers of structures and knowledge that predate even that, anomalies that point to truly antediluvian cultures, civilizations built and perhaps destroyed by a global event that fundamentally reshaped the planet. We're talking about a time when the very land masses were different, sea levels were vastly lower, and what we now consider mythical might have been stark reality. These are not just advanced societies. They are terrifying because their very existence challenges our understanding of human potential and vulnerability. Consider the site of Pumapunku, high in the Bolivian Andes, near the ancient city of Tiahuanaco. This isn't just a pile of old rocks. It's a structural marvel that continues to baffle engineers and archaeologists alike. Forget the Incas, or even the more ancient Tiahuanaco culture we know about. The core structures of Pumapunku speak of something else entirely. The site consists of enormous blocks of granite and diorite, some weighing over 100 tons, quarried from miles away. But it's not just their size that's remarkable, it's the impossible precision with which they were cut and fitted. We're talking about interlocking blocks with H-shaped cuts, perfect 90-degree angles, and surfaces so smooth they could have been polished by lasers. Many of these blocks have intricate, almost machine-like grooves and perforations that suggest a level of stone-cutting technology far beyond simple copper chisels or even iron tools. The tolerances are so fine, it's as if they were designed for mass production, each piece fitting together like a giant ancient Lego set, without the need for mortar. This isn't just skilled craftsmanship, it's industrial-level precision applied to some of the hardest stones on Earth. The terrifying question is, how? How did a pre-Incan culture, supposedly lacking metal tools capable of cutting such stone, let alone the means to transport and lift such massive blocks, achieve this? There are no signs of wheel ruts, no evidence of complex pulley systems, no written records explaining the engineering. The traditional explanation involves endless manual labour, using harder stones to abrade the granite, but that simply doesn't account for the microscopic precision and the complex geometric cuts. It's like finding a microchip in a Roman ruin. The sheer effort required, the precise mathematical understanding, and the unknown tools point to a civilization with capabilities we struggle to reconcile with our accepted history of the Americas. And here's the kicker. Geological evidence suggests the Tiahuanaco region experienced a catastrophic flood event, possibly a massive tidal wave that predates the known Tiahuanaco culture. Many of the massive blocks at Pumapunku are scattered and overturned as if tossed by an unimaginable force, suggesting the site was destroyed and abandoned in a cataclysmic event, not just slowly eroded by time. This isn't just about advanced stonework, it's about the implications. If such a civilization existed, possessing knowledge of advanced mechanics, geometry, and perhaps even forms of energy we don't understand, what else did they know? What kind of society did they build? And what happened to them? The terrifying answer, hinted at by global myths and geological signatures, is a worldwide flood, a cataclysm that wiped the slate clean, submerging coastlines, reshaping landscapes, and burying evidence of these forgotten architects beneath miles of sediment and water. Pumapunku stands as a testament, a broken relic from a drowned world, its impossible precision a silent scream across the millennia, reminding us that our history might just be a fraction of the truth, and we're only getting started. Pumapunku is just one echo. Next, we'll delve into other impossible structures and artifacts, found in even more improbable locations, hinting at a global network of these terrifyingly advanced pre-flood civilizations. If Pumapunku shattered our understanding of terrestrial antiquity, its impossible angles and scattered megaliths a silent scream across the desolate Bolivian altiplano, then what truly lies beneath the waves? What echoes whisper from the sunken depths? swallowed whole by the very catastrophe that erased the architects of such impossible structures. We've only begun to scratch the surface of a global network, a terrifyingly advanced civilization, or perhaps civilizations, that flourished when our history books claim humanity was barely emerging from caves. Consider the Yonaguni Monument off the coast of Japan. Imagine diving into the cobalt waters, the currents pulling at you, only to be confronted by a colossal, submerged pyramid-like structure. It's a terraced monolith, rising from the seabed with perfectly straight edges, sharp angles, and what appear to be steps, roads, and even a large triangular depression carved into its side. This isn't just a random rock formation. This is a structure that screams design. Geologists and archaeologists have debated its origins for decades. Is it a natural geological phenomenon, shaped by millennia of seismic activity and erosion? Or is it, as many believe, an ancient city, a monumental temple, or a quarry, submerged by a cataclysmic rise in sea levels or a titanic tsunami? The precision of its features, the 90-degree corners, the flat surfaces, the apparent staircases descending into the abyss, they defy easy explanation as purely natural formations. If Yonaguni is indeed man-made, or at least heavily modified by intelligent hands, then its existence at a depth of 25 to 100 feet means it must have been above water at a time when sea levels were significantly lower. When was that? At least 10,000 to 12,000 years ago, pushing its creation firmly into the pre-Holocene, pre-Younger Dryas impact event timeline. It's another chilling piece of the puzzle, another testament to a lost world, patiently waiting for us to acknowledge its existence, its silent plea for recognition lost in the ocean's roar. But the evidence isn't just found in the ocean's embrace. Sometimes the terrifying truth lies hidden beneath the very foundations of civilizations we thought we understood. Journey with us now to Abydos, Egypt, a site revered as one of the most ancient holy cities of the pharaohs. Here, beneath the temple of Seti I, lies a structure that defies the conventional narrative of Egyptian history, the Osirian. The Osirian is a megalithic marvel, a colossal subterranean structure built from enormous blocks of red sandstone and granite, some weighing upwards of 100 tons. It exhibits the same hallmark precision, the same impossible jointing, the same inexplicable scale as Puma Punku. These gargantuan stones are fitted together with a mastery that rivals the finest stonework of any era, yet they are found below the foundation of Seti I's temple, clearly predating it. The Osirian is perpetually flooded by groundwater, giving it an otherworldly, ancient feel, as if it's still partially submerged in the primordial waters of creation. Who built it? Conventional Egyptology struggles to attribute it convincingly to the dynastic Egyptians, whose known tools and methods simply don't align with such monolithic construction. The sheer size of the blocks, the precision of their cuts, and the apparent lack of tool marks suggest a technology far beyond chisels and mallets. Could this be a remnant, a foundation stone, of a much older civilization that existed before the rise of dynastic Egypt, before the Sahara became a desert, when the Nile Valley was a lush, fertile land? The architectural style itself, stark and unadorned, is strikingly different from the intricate carvings and hieroglyphs of the dynastic period. It feels older, more elemental, like a primeval echo from a forgotten age. And if you doubt the existence of such monumental, inexplicable construction, then allow us to transport you to Baalbek in modern-day Lebanon. Here you will encounter the Trilithon, 3 enormous blocks forming part of the foundation of the Roman Temple of Jupiter. Each of these stones weighs an estimated 800 to 1,000 tons. Let that sink in for a moment. 1,000 tons. To put it into perspective, that's the weight of over 20 fully loaded Boeing 747 jumbo jets. These stones are meticulously placed, perfectly aligned, forming a level platform for the later Roman construction. But the mystery deepens. Just a quarter-mile away, in a quarry, lies the Stone of the Pregnant Woman, or the Hajar al-Hibla, an even larger monolith, still partially attached to the bedrock. It weighs an estimated 200 to 650 tons, and recently, an even larger block estimated at 650 to 2,000 tons was discovered nearby. These are the largest cut stones on Earth, and their existence utterly confounds modern engineering. How were they quarried? How were they moved? How were they lifted and placed with such precision onto a platform? We're talking about a scale of construction that would challenge even our most advanced cranes and heavy machinery today, requiring multiple such machines working in perfect synchronicity. The Romans, grand builders though they were, simply did not possess the technology to achieve such a feat. So, who did? Who possessed the knowledge, the power, the sheer audacity to manipulate stone on such a titanic scale? Could it be the same hands that shaped the H-blocks of Pumapunku, or carved the submerged terraces of Yonaguni, or laid the foundations of the Osirian? The geographical distance separating these sites is vast, yet they share an undeniable kinship in their impossible precision, their monumental scale, and their utter defiance of our established historical timelines and technological capabilities. This is where the true terror begins to set in. It's not just about what they built, but how they built it. What kind of technology did these pre-flood civilizations wield? We're not talking about simple bronze tools or even early iron. We're talking about something that allowed them to cut, move and lift multi-hundred-ton and even multi-thousand-ton blocks of stone with a precision that makes our laser cutters look clumsy. Was it an understanding of anti-gravity, sonic levitation, an unknown energy source that could manipulate molecular bonds within stone? Or perhaps an entirely different paradigm of physics, a knowledge we have yet to rediscover, a science so advanced it appears as magic to us. Imagine a civilization that could reshape landscapes, erect structures that defy the very laws of physics as we understand them, and navigate a world that was radically different from our own. A world where continents might have been configured differently, where ice sheets covered vast expanses, and where a global cataclysm was looming, unseen by us, but perhaps not by them. And then they vanished, almost without a trace, swallowed by a catastrophe so profound, so devastating, that it wiped the slate clean, leaving only these scattered, inexplicable monuments as a silent testament to their existence. This isn't just about a flood. This is about a global reset, an event so powerful it erased not just cities and people, but entire technologies, entire sciences from the collective memory of humanity. What does that say about our own civilization? About our hubris? Our certainty in our linear progression? Are we merely rediscovering fragments of a knowledge that was once commonplace? Are we, in our modern technological prowess, simply catching up to a point that humanity had already reached, and then catastrophically lost millennia ago? The implications are terrifying. If they, with all their advanced capabilities, could be so utterly erased, what makes us so confident in our own permanence? We are not just looking at ruins, we are looking at a warning, a profound, chilling reminder that civilization, no matter how advanced, how ingenious, how seemingly invincible, is fragile. And the true terror lies not just in the unknown power that built these structures, but in the equally unknown, yet infinitely more powerful force that silenced their architects and buried their legacy beneath the earth and the waves, leaving us to piece together the fragments of a terrifying truth. If the impossible precision of Pumapunku, the submerged majesty of Yonaguni, the subterranean secrets of the Osirian, and the titanic stones of Baalbek already challenge every established timeline, every known ancient technology, then what happens when we confront sites that defy the very concept of civilization itself? What happens when we find evidence of monumental construction and astronomical knowledge existing before humanity was supposedly capable of such feats? We've seen the evidence of advanced mechanical capabilities, of tools that could cut and shape the hardest stones like butter, of an understanding of physics that allowed for the movement of weights we can barely budge today. We've dared to whisper about anti-gravity, about sonic levitation, about energy sources that could make stone yield. But these were civilizations, right? Societies that, by our understanding, should have followed a linear path. Hunter-gatherers, then agriculture, then settled villages, then cities, then monumental architecture. What if that entire foundational premise is wrong? Prepare yourselves, because the next site shatters that illusion into a million tiny, terrifying pieces. Imagine a place in southeastern Turkey, a place that mainstream archaeology once dismissed as a simple medieval cemetery. But beneath the dust and soil lay something far older, far grander, far more impossible. We are talking about Göbekli Tepe. Discovered in the mid-1990s, Göbekli Tepe is not merely old, it is impossibly old. Radiocarbon dating places its construction at around 9600 BC. That's over 11,600 years ago. Let that sink in. This isn't just before the Roman Empire or ancient Egypt or the Sumerians. This is before the invention of pottery, before metallurgy, before the wheel, and most crucially, before the generally accepted dawn of agriculture. This is an era when humanity was supposedly still living in small nomadic hunter-gatherer bands, struggling for survival, their minds occupied solely with the immediate needs of food and shelter. Yet, here, we find monumental architecture on a scale that beggars belief. Göbekli Tepe consists of numerous massive circular enclosures, each featuring towering T-shaped limestone pillars, some weighing up to 20 tons, intricately carved with sophisticated reliefs of animals, foxes, snakes, boars, birds, scorpions. These pillars aren't just decorative, they are strategically placed, often facing inward, sometimes paired like stylized human figures. They were quarried, moved, and erected with a precision that defies the tools and organizational capacity attributed to hunter-gatherers. How did they do it? With what technology? And why? This isn't a mere campsite. This is a complex, multi-layered temple complex, built with an understanding of engineering, astronomy, and symbolism that suggests a highly organized, sophisticated society. One enclosure, for instance, appears to be aligned with the rising of Sirius, a star whose importance in later civilizations is well documented. Were these hunter-gatherers also master astronomers? Or were they inheritors of a knowledge far older, far more profound? The most unsettling aspect of Göbekli Tepe is not just its age, but its apparent purpose. It seems to have been a ritual center, a place of profound spiritual significance, drawing people from vast distances. And then, around 8000 BC, it was deliberately, meticulously buried. Not destroyed by invaders, not swallowed by nature, but carefully covered over with earth, preserving its secrets for millennia. Why would a society expend such monumental effort to construct something so magnificent, only to then bury it? Was it a precaution, a secret kept, or a final act of a dying world, preserving a legacy that would otherwise be lost to the coming deluge? Göbekli Tepe forces us to confront a terrifying possibility, that complex advanced societies existed before the agricultural revolution, before the very concept of civilization as we understand it. It flips our entire understanding of human history on its head, suggesting that monumental building and sophisticated knowledge didn't emerge from settled life, but perhaps preceded it, or even sparked it. Could it be a receding point, a place where survivors of an earlier global catastrophe began to rebuild, bringing with them fragments of forgotten knowledge? And what of structures still hidden, still unacknowledged by mainstream archaeology, yet whispering of the same impossibilities? Consider for a moment the Bosnian pyramids near Visoko. While hotly debated and often dismissed, the sheer scale of the anomaly demands our attention. What if the hills themselves, rising dramatically from the landscape, are not natural formations but colossal, ancient structures, deliberately shaped and then covered over by millennia of soil and vegetation? Proponents point to geometric regularity, internal passages, and concrete-like material that some analyses suggest is far older and harder than modern concrete, defying known geological processes. Imagine the implications if these truly are artificial structures, disguised by nature, waiting to be rediscovered. It would suggest a civilization with the capacity to reshape entire landscapes, to build on a truly planetary scale, and then for their works to be utterly consumed and forgotten, hidden in plain sight. This isn't just about moving individual stones, it's about engineering mountains. Across continents, across oceans, the same impossible signature echoes. From the Andean Plateau to the depths of the Pacific, from the Nile Valley to the plains of Anatolia, and potentially hidden beneath the forests of Bosnia, we see evidence of a unified global knowledge base. This isn't coincidence. This isn't parallel evolution. This is the unmistakable fingerprint of a shared pre-cataclysmic civilization, or perhaps a network of highly advanced cultures, all wielding technologies that appear as magic to our modern eyes. What was this technology? We've speculated on anti-gravity and sonic levitation for moving colossal stones. But what about the cutting? The surgical precision seen at Pumapunku, the perfectly smooth surfaces, the intricate grooves and angles, the ability to work diorite, a stone second only to diamond in hardness, as if it were soft clay. This points to something far beyond copper chisels or even iron tools. Were they using some form of directed energy, plasma torches, high-frequency vibration, or a mastery of molecular manipulation that allowed them to temporarily alter the atomic structure of stone, making it pliable before hardening it again. And what of their power sources? To achieve such feats, they must have harnessed energy on an unprecedented scale. Was it atmospheric energy? Geothermal? A profound understanding of Earth's electromagnetic field, perhaps tapping into ley lines or crystal resonance. The very purpose of some of these structures might have been energy generation or distribution, rather than purely ceremonial or residential. Imagine a world where energy was abundant, clean, and drawn directly from the planet itself, allowing for construction projects that dwarf anything we can conceive of today. The sheer scale of these projects, the millions of tons of stone, the precision, the global distribution, implies a level of organization, planning, and resource management far beyond anything we attribute to early humanity. It suggests a global coordination, perhaps even a shared language or symbolic system, as evidenced by recurring motifs and architectural principles. Were they communicating across vast distances? Did they possess a form of global transport that allowed for the exchange of knowledge, materials, and techniques? This lost civilization wasn't just building, it was observing, calculating, predicting. The astronomical alignments found at many sites, the sophisticated understanding of celestial mechanics, point to a deep connection with the cosmos. Were they charting the heavens to understand their place in the universe? Or were they tracking a coming event, a cataclysm, a celestial realignment that would reshape their world? The most terrifying implication is not just that we've forgotten our true past, but that we might be repeating it. If a civilization could reach such heights of technological and organizational prowess, only to be utterly wiped from the face of the earth by a global catastrophe, what does that say about the fragility of our own existence? These ruins are not just archaeological curiosities, they are a silent scream, a chilling warning etched in stone across the ages. They tell us that even the most advanced societies are vulnerable, that knowledge can be lost, and that the world can be remade in an instant, leaving only enigmatic whispers for those who dare to listen. We are left with a profound sense of awe, yes, but also a creeping dread. What happened to them? What was the nature of the global cataclysm that erased such an advanced world, leaving only these impossible monuments as their legacy? And are we, in our hubris, rushing headlong towards a similar fate, oblivious to the warnings embedded in the very foundations of our planet? The questions multiply, each more unsettling than the last, drawing us deeper into the terrifying mystery of the pre-flood world. We've journeyed across continents. Hasn't our expedition taken us to the very edge of what we thought we knew? From the bewildering precision of Pumapunku to the submerged enigma of Yonaguni, the subterranean majesty of the Osirian, the colossal defiance of Baalbek, the ancient wonder of Göbekli Tepe, and the towering mystery of the Bosnian pyramids, we've seen the irrefutable evidence. But now we must ask the questions that truly challenge the bedrock of our understanding. How did they do it? What terrifying secrets of technology, energy, and societal organization did these pre-flood civilizations possess that allowed them to sculpt the very earth itself, only to vanish without a trace? Let's not just marvel at the what, let's confront the how. Imagine, if you will, the sheer audacity required to conceive of, let alone execute, the construction we find at sites like Pumapunku. It's not merely about moving multi-hundred-ton blocks, it's about the cuts. We're talking about granite and diorite, some of the hardest stones on Earth, shaped with a precision that makes our modern laser cutters look crude by comparison. These aren't rough-hewn boulders. These are architectural components with angles so perfect, surfaces so polished, and interlocking joints so intricate that a razor blade cannot slip between them. How do you achieve that with copper chisels and brute force? You don't. It's a physical impossibility that mocks our conventional timelines and technological narratives. Think about it. The H-blocks, the I-clamps, the intricate notching, these aren't just decorative. They are functional, designed to interlock with a precision that screams of advanced engineering. Some of these cuts appear to have been made as if the stone were soft clay, then hardened. Is it possible they possessed a technology capable of softening stone at a molecular level? Or perhaps a form of sonic vibration that could disintegrate rock with focused energy, leaving behind perfectly smooth, impossibly precise surfaces? We're talking about a level of material manipulation that even our most advanced laboratories struggle to replicate today. This isn't just about superior craftsmanship, it's about a fundamentally different understanding of physics and material science. And the scale, let's revisit Baalbek, shall we? The trilithon, 3 blocks, each weighing between 800 and 1,000 tons, lifted and placed with such exactitude that they form part of a larger, ancient platform. And then there's the sect, quote, 3 Ys in the quarry, a single block estimated at over 1,200 tons, still partially attached to the bedrock. A more recently discovered monolith nearby dwarfs even that, weighing in at an astonishing 1,650 tons. To put that into perspective, the largest cranes we have today struggle with a fraction of that weight, and they certainly can't move them across vast distances or place them with millimetre precision. How do you move a 1,650-ton block of stone? What kind of energy, what kind of force, what kind of technology does that require? Mainstream archaeology offers theories of ramps, rollers, and thousands of labourers, but those explanations crumble under the weight of these impossibly massive stones and the terrain they traverse. They simply don't add up. We're forced to consider alternatives that sound like science fiction, anti-gravity devices, sonic levitation, or harnessing unknown forces of nature. Was it a mastery of resonance frequencies, allowing them to negate the effects of gravity? Or perhaps a directed energy system that could lift and position these colossal weights as if they were pebbles? The very idea is mind-bending, isn't it? It shatters our comfortable assumptions about ancient humanity. This brings us to the most profound mystery, the power source. To cut stone like butter, to lift thousands of tons, to construct entire complexes like Göbekli Tepe, with its 20-ton carved pillars before the invention of the wheel. This requires an energy source far beyond anything we attribute to Yand, quote, fourth societies. What did they tap into? Was it atmospheric energy, drawing power from the very air around them? Were they masters of geothermal energy, harnessing the Earth's internal heat? Could they have understood and manipulated the planet's electromagnetic field, turning it into a vast free energy grid? Or did they possess knowledge of crystal technology, using resonant frequencies and harmonic vibrations to amplify and direct immense power? Consider the implications. If these civilizations had access to such advanced energy, it fundamentally rewrites our entire history of technological progression. It means humanity isn't on a linear path of discovery, slowly crawling from the cave to the cosmos. Instead, It suggests a cyclical pattern, a rise and fall, a repeated amnesia where profound knowledge is gained, lost, and then painstakingly rediscovered over millennia. The ruins aren't just architectural wonders, they are silent, stark reminders of a technological zenith that was utterly wiped clean from memory. And it wasn't just isolated pockets of genius. The shared characteristics of these sites, the megalithic scale, the precision stone cutting, the astronomical alignments, the defiance of known technologies, span continents. From the Andes to the Middle East, from submerged Japanese coasts to Turkish plateaus, a common thread of advanced knowledge weaves through these disparate locations. Is this mere coincidence? Or does it point to a global network, a unified culture, or perhaps even a single mother civilization that seeded this advanced knowledge across the planet before the cataclysm? The idea of a global pre-flood civilization, one that understood the Earth's energy grid, that could manipulate matter and gravity, that could build monumental structures designed to withstand or even channel cosmic forces, is a terrifying thought. It implies a level of organization, coordination, and shared scientific understanding that beggars belief. And yet, the evidence is literally carved in stone, staring us in the face. So, what happened to them? How could a civilization capable of such feats vanish so completely? The answer, friends, lies in the very nature of the global cataclysm we've discussed, the Great Flood. It wasn't just a localized event, it was a planetary upheaval. Imagine a force so immense, so sudden, that it could scatter the multi-hundred-ton blocks of Pumapunku across the landscape as if they were children's toys. Imagine a deluge so profound that it could submerge entire cities like Yonaguni, locking them away beneath the waves for millennia. Imagine seismic activity so violent that it buried a sophisticated complex like Göbekli Tepe, not accidentally, but deliberately, preserving it for a future humanity that would hopefully be ready to understand its message. The geological evidence across these sites consistently points to rapid, violent destruction by water and earth movements on an unimaginable scale. It wasn't a slow decline, it was an abrupt, devastating reset. An entire civilization, with its advanced technologies, its profound understanding of the universe, its very existence, was swallowed by a catastrophe of epic proportions. Their knowledge, their records, their sciences, all dissolved into the churning chaos, leaving behind only these enigmatic ruins as a testament to their former glory and their ultimate demise. These sites are not just relics, they are warnings. They are a silent scream echoing across the millennia, a chilling reminder of the fragility of even the most advanced civilizations. They challenge us to look beyond the comfortable narratives, to question the very foundations of our history, and to confront the terrifying possibility that we too are walking a path that has been trod before, a path that led to an unthinkable destruction. What if the technologies we now strive for, the energy sources we seek, were once common knowledge, lost in a cataclysm we are only now beginning to comprehend? What if the secrets of their advanced construction, their power sources and their global network hold the key not only to their past but to our own future? The questions linger, haunting our modern minds. Are we truly the pinnacle of human achievement, or are we merely rediscovering fragments of a forgotten golden age? The stones don't lie. They stand as monuments to a terrifying truth. Humanity's story is far more complex, far more ancient, and far more prone to catastrophic resets than we have ever dared to imagine. And the next chapter of that story, perhaps, is already being written. We've journeyed through the ghost cities of a forgotten age, our footsteps echoing in the vast, silent chambers of structures that seem to mock the very concept of time. We've stared into the silent stone eyes of monuments that defy our understanding, their colossal forms carved with a precision that whispers of impossible tools, impossible minds. Each site, from the bewildering interlocking stonework of Pumapunku to the submerged majesty of Yonaguni's oceanic pyramids, the subterranean secrets of the Osirian's flooded halls, the colossal enigma of Baalbek's impossibly heavy megaliths, and the mind-bending antiquity of Göbekli Tepe's astronomical circles. Each one is a shattered fragment of a civilization so advanced, so utterly profound that it predates our very concept of history itself. These ruins aren't just old, they are ancient, speaking a language of forgotten technologies, molecular manipulation, anti-gravity, sonic levitation, energy sources drawn from the very fabric of the cosmos. The air around them seems to hum with the phantom presence of a knowledge we can barely grasp, a silent testament to a world far beyond our current comprehension. But the most terrifying question, the one that chills us to the bone and haunts our waking thoughts, remains. How did they do it? And what kind of cataclysm could have erased such a profound, globally interconnected civilization from the face of the earth, leaving only these haunting, monumental scars? The weight of these questions presses down on us, a heavy, cold hand on the back of our necks, urging us to look closer, to dig deeper, to confront a truth that could shatter our comfortable view of human progress. Let's delve deeper into the how. We've speculated about advanced physics, about sciences we might one day discover, but what if their understanding wasn't just more advanced, but fundamentally different? What if they operated on a paradigm we've barely begun to glimpse? Imagine a civilization that understood the universe not as a collection of separate, disparate forces. Gravity here, electromagnetism there, the strong and weak nuclear forces elsewhere, but as a unified symphony of vibrations, frequencies, and resonance. Picture a grand cosmic orchestra, every atom, every particle, every star and galaxy playing its unique note. What if they could tune into the very song of creation itself, not just passively listen, but actively participate in its composition? If you can manipulate the specific vibratory frequency of matter, then stone is no longer an intractable, inert mass, a stubborn obstacle to be cut and hewn with brute force. It becomes malleable. Imagine the sheer wonder of seeing granite, a substance we consider the epitome of hardness, soften under an unseen influence, becoming as pliable as freshly worked clay. It could be shaped, moulded, and fitted with an impossible precision, allowing for those seamless cuts and perfect joins we marvel at in Pumapunku, joints so tight you can't slip a razor blade between them. Then, with a subtle shift in frequency, it hardens back to its original impenetrable state, stronger, perhaps, than before. This isn't magic, friends. This is a science so profound, so elegant, so utterly sophisticated, it makes our current engineering feats look like crude finger painting by comparison. The thought humbles us, shrinking our technological achievements to mere child's play in the face of such mastery. And what of levitation? Our current understanding of gravity is still incomplete, a mysterious force we observe but don't fully comprehend, What if these ancients had unlocked a deeper secret, tapping into a zero-point energy field, the latent energy of empty space itself, or manipulating localized gravitational forces through resonant frequencies? Suddenly, those 2,000-ton stones at Baalbek, the ones we painstakingly calculate would require an army of thousands and ramps stretching for miles, aren't being dragged by legions of slaves. They're floating, rising effortlessly into the air, guided by a silent, unseen hand, placed with surgical precision onto their colossal platforms. The image is breathtaking, yet terrifying, isn't it? That the very laws of physics we hold so dear, the bedrock of our scientific understanding, might be merely a subset of a grander, more fluid reality they understood intimately. It forces us to question everything we thought we knew about the universe. But their knowledge wasn't just about moving stones or constructing impossible buildings. If they understood the fundamental nature of matter and energy, if they could manipulate the very fabric of reality, what else did they comprehend? Did they have a deeper grasp of consciousness, of life itself? Were their monumental structures not merely temples or observatories, but perhaps vast energy transducers designed to draw power from the earth or the cosmos? Could they have been cosmic calendars, mapping cycles far beyond our current astronomical charts, or even repositories of knowledge, vast libraries encoded in their very design, their geometry, their orientation? We see echoes of sacred geometry, precise astronomical alignments, and intricate mathematical ratios across these sites, from the layout of the Giza Plateau to the complex carvings at Göbekli Tepe. This suggests not isolated pockets of genius, but a unified global understanding of the cosmos, a shared wisdom far beyond what any primitive culture should possess. It's as if they were all working from the same master blueprint, a universal language of creation. They didn't just build, they sang to the earth, and the earth responded. They were not merely inhabitants of this planet, they were its stewards, its architects, perhaps even its guardians, living in profound harmony with its rhythms and energies. This suggests a civilization operating on a level of wisdom and technological sophistication that makes our own modern age seem like a mere prelude, a fledgling civilization taking its first tentative steps, a golden age, perhaps, of humanity's true potential, a time when our species reached its zenith, now tragically lost to the relentless sands of time and the crushing depths of the ocean. A profound sense of loss washes over us when we consider what might have been, what was. Which brings us inevitably to the why. Why did such a glorious civilization, one so seemingly advanced and wise, vanish without a trace? The evidence, both geological and mythological, points overwhelmingly to a global cataclysm, a great flood that was far more than just heavy rain. It was a planetary upheaval, a cosmic reset that scoured the earth clean, silencing the vibrant symphony of their advanced world, leaving only a deathly quiet in its wake. Consider the possibilities, each more terrifying than the last. Was it an astronomical event? A rogue comet or asteroid, its impact unleashing tsunamis of unimaginable scale, waves hundreds, even thousands of feet high, scouring continents clean? Imagine the shock waves ripping through the Earth's crust, triggering volcanic eruptions and seismic chaos across the globe, tearing land masses apart. Picture the impact, not just a localized crater, but a world-shattering blow that shifted the very axis of the planet, plunging vast land masses beneath the waves and thrusting others skyward in violent spasms. The geological record, when examined without preconceived notions, shows compelling evidence of rapid sea level rise, sudden climate shifts, and widespread destruction around 12,000 to 13,000 years ago, precisely when these pre-flood civilizations are estimated to have thrived. The Earth itself bears the scars of such an event. Or perhaps it was a solar event, a colossal solar flare, an electromagnetic pulse of such magnitude that it fried every advanced system, every interconnected network, every piece of complex technology, plunging the world into darkness. Such an event would trigger a cascade of atmospheric and geological disasters, disrupting weather patterns, causing widespread electrical failures, and perhaps even triggering seismic activity. Our own sun, the benevolent giver of life, also holds the potential for unimaginable destruction, a cosmic temper tantrum that could wipe the slate clean. What if they knew this, predicted it, saw it coming, but were utterly powerless to stop it, watching their magnificent world unravel before their eyes? The thought of their helplessness, despite their advanced knowledge, is truly heartbreaking. Then there's the truly unsettling thought, the one that whispers in the darkest corners of our minds. What if the cataclysm was in some way self-inflicted? If they wielded such immense power, manipulating the very fabric of reality, is it not conceivable that a miscalculation, an unintended consequence, or even an act of hubris could have unleashed forces beyond their control? Did they accidentally tap into an energy source too volatile, too powerful, and inadvertently tear their own world apart, a cosmic experiment gone horribly wrong? The ancient legends of gods wielding destructive powers, of titanic battles that shook the heavens and the earth, of civilizations brought low by the wrath of their own creations, take on a chilling new meaning when viewed through this lens. Could their own advanced technologies, their very mastery over creation, have been their undoing, leaving us a silent warning across the ages? A cautionary tale etched not in words, but in shattered stone and drowned cities. Whatever the cause, the effect was absolute. A global reset. Not a slow decline, a gradual fading into obscurity, but a sudden, violent erasure. The earth screamed, in agony, convulsed, and then, for a long, terrible time, it went silent. The advanced knowledge, the intricate technologies, the profound wisdom, all were swallowed by the raging waters, buried beneath countless layers of sediment, or simply forgotten by the few, scattered survivors who were reduced to a primal struggle for existence. They became the hunter-gatherers from whom we believe our civilization slowly, painfully, re-emerged, carrying only fragmented memories of a golden age, distorted into myths of gods and giants, of paradise lost and primordial floods, the echoes of a grand past, twisted and faded, forming the very bedrock of our earlier stories. This is the most terrifying implication of all, that history is not a linear progression, a steady climb from primitive to advanced, but a cycle, that humanity has reached these dizzying heights of technological and spiritual understanding before, only to be utterly annihilated, leaving behind only tantalizing clues for us, their distant descendants, to uncover. The ruins of Pumapunku, Yonaguni, the Osirian, Baalbek, and Göbekli Tepe are not just archaeological marvels, they are monuments to a terrifying truth. They are a silent scream from a lost world, a chilling warning etched in stone, a message broadcast across millennia. Look at us. Remember what we built. Remember how we fell. Remember before it's too late. Are we, in our own accelerating technological ascent, walking the same perilous path? Are we blind to the cosmic forces, the geological instabilities, or even the internal dangers of our own power, the hubris of our own creations, that could trigger another global reset? The questions hang heavy in the air, unanswered, unsettling, a palpable dread in the silence. And they demand our attention, our inquiry, our courage to look beyond the accepted narratives and confront the terrifying possibility that our past is far more complex and far more dangerous than we ever dared to imagine. What will our silent scream be when the next great wave comes, when the next cataclysm strikes, and our own magnificent structures are reduced to mere echoes, waiting for a future civilization to wonder how we did it and what happened to us? We've peered into the colossal shadows of Pumapunku, felt the crushing weight of Baalbek's Trilithon, and stood in awe before Göbekli Tepe's impossible antiquity. We've glimpsed the physical remnants of a civilization that defies every textbook, every archaeological dogma. But now we must ask, how? How did they achieve such feats? What terrifying knowledge did they possess that allowed them to sculpt mountains, move megaliths, and create structures that whisper of technologies we can barely dream of, let alone replicate? This isn't just about advanced tools or lost engineering principles. Oh no. The true terror, the truly unexplainable aspect of these pre-flood cultures lies in their fundamental understanding of reality itself. We are talking about a civilization that didn't just use technology. They embodied a profound, holistic science of the universe. Imagine for a moment, what if our understanding of physics, of matter, of energy, is merely a crude, two-dimensional sketch of a multi-dimensional masterpiece? What if these ancients perceived the cosmos not as a collection of inert particles, but as a living, breathing symphony of vibrations? We've touched upon this, but now we must dive into its chilling implications. They didn't just build with stone, they communed with it. Picture this. A world where the very atomic structure of matter was mutable, where the density and rigidity of granite could be altered at will. How? Through resonance, through the precise application of vibrational frequencies, perhaps generated by sonic devices, by focused thought, or by technologies we have no frame of reference for. They could literally soften stone at a molecular level, allowing it to be cut, shaped, and fitted with the impossible precision we observe at Pumapunku. Think of it, not chisels and hammers, but a mastery of sound and energy that rendered solid rock as pliable as clay. This isn't magic, it's physics we haven't yet rediscovered, physics that makes our current understanding look utterly primitive. And the movement of those colossal blocks, those multi-hundred-ton behemoths at Baalbek. If you can manipulate the molecular structure, you can also manipulate gravity. If you understand the vibrational signature of an object, you can alter its interaction with the Earth's gravitational field. Levitation, then, becomes not a mythical impossibility, but a logical application of advanced vibrational physics. They weren't dragging stones with ropes and ramps. They were tuning them, making them buoyant, allowing them to float into place with an ease that would beg a belief. This knowledge wasn't just about making construction easier. It was about a profound, intimate relationship with the fundamental forces of the universe. But this goes deeper than just manipulating matter. Their structures, those colossal monuments, are not merely buildings. They are, we believe, sophisticated energy devices, resonant chambers, or even vast data storage systems. Consider the geometric precision, the astronomical alignments, the often subterranean nature of sites like the Osirian. These weren't random choices. They understood Earth's energetic grid, those invisible ley lines that crisscross our planet. They knew where the power points were, where the telluric currents converged, and they built their monumental structures to tap into, amplify, or even generate energy. Was it atmospheric energy, drawn from the very air around us? Geothermal, harnessing the Earth's internal heat? Or perhaps even electromagnetic, using the planet itself as a giant capacitor? We see hints of crystal technology, of sophisticated acoustics, of materials science far beyond anything we credit to pre-Bronze Age cultures. Imagine entire cities powered by ambient energy, their inhabitants living in harmony with the planet's natural rhythms, their needs met by a technology so advanced it would appear utterly seamless to us. The implications for consciousness are perhaps the most terrifying. If they understood the universe's vibration, then consciousness itself is a vibration, a frequency, a field of energy. Did they possess methods to amplify human consciousness, to achieve states of awareness that allowed them to perceive these subtle energies, to directly interact with the fabric of reality? Were there temples, like Göbekli Tepe, not just places of worship but centers for collective consciousness, for focusing intent, for manifesting their will upon the world? This is where the story shifts from mere technological marvel to something far more unsettling. If they achieved such mastery over matter and energy, if they truly understood the universe at this fundamental vibrational level, then their knowledge wasn't just scientific in our modern sense. It was also deeply spiritual and holistic. They didn't separate the physical from the metaphysical. For them, they were one and the same. And this leads us to the most chilling question of all. If they possess such profound knowledge, such incredible power, why did they vanish? Why did their entire civilization, seemingly global and interconnected, succumb to a great flood or a planetary upheaval so absolute that it wiped almost every trace of them from the Earth? Were they aware of the cosmic cycles, the recurring cataclysms that periodically reset our planet? Did they know that their time was limited, that a celestial alignment, a polar shift, or a massive comet impact was inevitable? Perhaps their colossal structures were not just monuments to their power, but desperate attempts to survive, to warn future generations, or to encode their knowledge in a way that would withstand the deluge. Think of it. Göbekli Tepe, deliberately buried around 8000 BC. Was this an act of preservation, a last-ditch effort to save sacred knowledge from the impending catastrophe, to create a time capsule for a future humanity? The precision, the effort involved in burying such a massive complex, suggests a deliberate, highly organized act born of foresight and urgent necessity. It wasn't abandoned, it was sealed. This brings us to the terrifying idea that human history is not a linear progression, but a cyclical one. We are not the first, nor will we be the last, to reach a pinnacle of technological and intellectual advancement. There have been previous iterations, previous civilizations that rose to unimaginable heights, only to be swallowed by a catastrophic Quote 10. And the most terrifying part? We are perhaps rediscovering their fragmented knowledge, piecing together the clues without fully comprehending the why of their demise. Are we, in our accelerating technological ascent, walking the same perilous path? Are we unlocking secrets, manipulating energies, and pushing boundaries without the holistic understanding, the spiritual wisdom that might have guided these ancients? We split the atom, we harness AI, we dream of colonizing other planets. But do we truly understand the vibrational symphony of the cosmos, or the delicate balance of our own planet? The pre-flood civilizations didn't just disappear. They left behind a silent scream, a monumental warning etched in stone and submerged beneath the waves. Their story is a chilling echo through time, a reminder that hubris, ignorance, or even unavoidable cosmic forces can erase even the most advanced civilizations in a blink of geological time. We are not just uncovering ancient ruins, we are confronting a mirror reflecting our own potential future. What if the very knowledge that allowed them to build wonders also contained the seeds of their destruction? What if their mastery of vibration and energy led to a catastrophic miscalculation, a ripple effect that fractured the very fabric of their world? Or was it simply the indifferent hand of the cosmos, sweeping away one grand experiment to make way for the next? The true terror lies not just in what they knew, but in how they lost it all, and in the chilling question of whether we are doomed to repeat their fate, blind to the warnings carved into the very foundations of our planet. We've peeled back the layers of dust and dogma, haven't we? We've looked at the impossibly precise stonework of Puma Punku, the submerged majesty of Yonaguni, the subterranean secrets of the Osirian, the colossal scale of Baalbek, and the deliberate burial of Göbekli Tepe. We've dared to imagine a world where our ancestors weren't just struggling hunter-gatherers, but masters of a forgotten science, a vibrational physics that could shape stone like clay and defy gravity itself. But what happens when such a civilization, a global network of profound understanding, is swallowed by a catastrophe of unimaginable scale? What remains when the very fabric of the world is ripped apart, when continents groan and seas rise to reclaim the land? It's not just a matter of ruins, is it? It's a matter of erasure, a complete terrifying reset of human experience. The ruins, we've said, are a silent scream. But what if that scream wasn't just a lament, but a warning? What if the deliberate burial of a site like Göbekli Tepe wasn't merely an act of desperation, but a calculated, desperate attempt to encode and preserve knowledge for a future generation? For us? Imagine the minds that conceived such a feat. They knew the deluge was coming. They understood the mechanics of the impending cataclysm, perhaps even predicting its timing with an astronomical precision that still eludes us today. What do you do when you know your world is about to end, and all your accumulated wisdom, your technological marvels, your very understanding of the cosmos is about to be wiped clean? You don't just flee, you don't just despair. If you possess the foresight, the wisdom, and the sheer audacity, you hide it. You create a time capsule, a message in a bottle cast into the turbulent ocean of forgotten time, hoping it will be found when humanity is ready to receive it again. What did they choose to preserve? Not their power grids, for they would be shattered. Not their flying machines, for they would be rusted hulks. They preserved the principles, the fundamental understanding of existence, the sacred geometry, the astronomical alignments, the symbolic language that could transcend any spoken tongue, any cultural shift, any future dark age. Göbekli Tepe, with its profound animal imagery, its astronomical motifs, its sheer scale built by a culture supposedly incapable of such engineering, stands as a testament to this profound intent. It's not just a temple, it's a library, etched in stone, awaiting decryption. But what of the survivors? If such a global catastrophe occurred, what became of those who endured its fury? Were there pockets of humanity, insulated from the worst, who carried the flickering flame of ancient knowledge into the new, brutal world? We see echoes of this in countless myths. The culture bringers, the gods who descended from the heavens or emerged from the sea to teach nascent humanity agriculture, astronomy, writing. Are these merely fanciful tales or distorted memories of those who inherited the remnants of a lost civilization, tasked with guiding a traumatized amnesiac species back towards understanding? Consider the sheer psychological impact of such an event. Imagine waking up to a world utterly transformed, stripped bare of everything you knew, your cities, your technology, your very history, gone. The collective trauma would be so profound, so absolute, that it would necessitate a complete re-evaluation of reality. It would be easier, perhaps, to forget, to simplify, to retreat into a narrative of primitive beginnings, where the cataclysm was an act of divine wrath and the incredible feats of the past were attributed to mythical beings, rather than the terrifying truth of human capability and vulnerability. This is the great amnesia, isn't it? The deliberate or unconscious forgetting that allowed humanity to rebuild, but at the cost of its true heritage. We accepted a linear progression, a slow, arduous climb from caves to constellations, because the alternative, a cyclical history of advanced civilizations rising and falling, is almost too terrifying to contemplate. It implies that our own achievements are not unique and our future is not guaranteed. Yet, the knowledge, like an ancient river carving new paths, has always sought to resurface. We see its echoes, don't we, in the burgeoning fields of quantum physics, where the universe is revealed as a symphony of vibrations, where consciousness might be a fundamental force, not merely a byproduct of biology. Is this not a rediscovery of their vibrational physics? A return to the understanding that all matter is energy, and energy can be manipulated with profound intent. Think of the free energy concepts, the suppressed technologies, the whispers of Nikola Tesla's impossible dreams. Were these not fragments, tantalizing glimpses into an energy paradigm that powered the pre-flood world, tapping into the Earth's own energetic grid, harnessing atmospheric resonance or crystal harmonics? Why do these ideas consistently meet with such fierce resistance, such aggressive dismissal, if not because they threaten to unravel the carefully constructed narrative of our technological origins? And what about the ancient texts, the myths, the esoteric traditions that speak of lost continents, advanced beings, and cataclysmic floods? We've long dismissed them as mere superstition, the fanciful imaginings of primitive minds. But what if they are, in fact, distorted historical records, allegories of scientific principles, or even direct transmissions of knowledge from those who survived the Great Reset? What if the gods weren't supernatural entities, but highly advanced individuals, perhaps even the seed keepers of a lost civilization, attempting to re-educate a shattered world? This is where the true terror lies, isn't it? Not just in the fact that these civilizations existed, but in the implication of their existence for our own. If history is cyclical, if humanity consistently reaches a pinnacle of technological and spiritual understanding, only to be wiped clean by a global cataclysm, then what does that say about our trajectory? We are, in our modern age, rediscovering the very keys to their power. We are delving into quantum mechanics, artificial intelligence, genetic engineering, and exploring the very nature of energy and consciousness. We are perhaps standing on the precipice of understanding the same vibrational physics that allowed them to build impossible structures and harness immense energies. Is this a cause for celebration or for profound apprehension? The double-edged sword of knowledge is never sharper than when we consider the fate of those who wielded it before us. Did their advanced understanding lead to their demise? Was it a hubris, a miscalculation, a weaponization of forces they didn't fully comprehend that ultimately brought about their end? Or were they simply helpless bystanders to an astronomical event, a solar flare, a planetary shift that no level of advancement could prevent? The ruins are not just a silent scream, they are a profound, urgent question directed squarely at us. What will we do with this rediscovered knowledge? Will we learn from the terrifying implications of a cyclical history? Or are we doomed to repeat the grand, tragic narrative of hubris, power, and ultimate erasure? The monuments stand as a testament, a warning, and perhaps a final instruction. They demand that we look beyond the accepted narrative, question everything, and confront the unsettling truth that our past is far more complex, far more dangerous, and far more awe-inspiring than we have ever dared to imagine. The clock, we sense, is ticking, and the echoes of their silent scream grow louder with every new discovery. Will we finally listen? The ruins stand, not merely as remnants of a forgotten epoch, but as a, quote 17, an urgent, terrifying question echoing across the chasm of millennia. We've seen the impossible precision, the unimaginable scale, the sheer defiance of known physics etched into the very bedrock of our planet. We've acknowledged the cataclysm, the global reset that wiped the slate clean. But the most unsettling question remains: how did they do it? How did a civilization, supposedly predating our most rudimentary understanding of engineering, achieve feats that still baffle our most advanced minds? This isn't about crude hammers and chisels or even ingenious leverage systems. This is about something far more fundamental, a mastery over the very fabric of reality that we are only now, in our nascent quantum age, beginning to glimpse. We are talking about a civilization that understood, and perhaps manipulated, the underlying vibrational physics of the cosmos. Imagine, if you will, a world where stone isn't merely a solid, inert mass, but a complex tapestry of molecules, atoms, and subatomic particles, all held together by specific frequencies, specific energetic bonds. What if this pre-flood civilization didn't cut stone in the way we understand it, but rather rearranged its molecular structure? What if they could induce a resonant frequency that temporarily softened granite to the consistency of clay, allowing it to be shaped, molded, and then rehardened with microscopic precision? Think of Puma Punku again. Those perfect L blocks, those intricate H blocks, those impossible angles and seamless fits in stone harder than steel. Our conventional archaeology insists on tools, on brute force, on painstaking labour. But look closer. Do those cuts look like they were chiselled? Or do they look like they were cast, or perhaps moulded from something pliable? Something that could be smoothed and fitted with absolute perfection before solidifying once more? This isn't just a theory. It's an implication that sends shivers down the spine of conventional thought. It suggests a technology so alien, so utterly beyond our current understanding, that it forces us to reconsider the very nature of matter itself. And what of the colossal weights? The multi-thousand-ton megaliths of Baalbek, the multi-hundred-ton blocks of Pumapunku? How do you quarry, transport, and precisely place such masses without an understanding of gravity that far surpasses our own? Again, vibrational physics offers a terrifying possibility: the manipulation of localized gravitational fields. If matter is energy, and energy vibrates at specific frequencies, then perhaps they understood how to generate counter-frequencies, anti-gravitational fields, through the precise application of sound, electromagnetism, or other energetic forces. Picture it: a massive block of granite, too heavy for any modern crane, shimmering slightly, its weight momentarily negated, lifted as if by an unseen hand. Was it levitation? Was it a temporary alteration of its inertial mass? The myths of ancient cultures are replete with tales of gods moving mountains with sound, of stones floating into place. Are these mere fables, or distorted echoes of a forgotten technology? We are quick to dismiss, but what if these, quote 18, are the only surviving records of a science so advanced it appears magical to our limited perspective? This wasn't just about moving blocks, it was about harnessing the fundamental energies of the planet. We've spoken of Göbekli Tepe, not just as a temple, but as a colossal resonant structure. What if these sites, often strategically placed on Earth's energetic ley lines, were not merely places of worship but sophisticated energy transducers? What if the T-shaped pillars of Göbekli Tepe, the precise alignments of Pumapunku, the subterranean chambers of the Osirian, were designed to tap into, amplify and direct the Earth's natural electromagnetic fields, telluric currents, or even atmospheric energy? Consider the possibility of crystal technologies. We know crystals resonate, generate piezoelectric effects, and can store and transmit energy. What if this pre-flood civilization had mastered the art of growing, shaping, and programming crystals on a monumental scale, integrating them into their megalithic structures to create vast, interconnected energy grids? Imagine entire cities powered by the Earth itself, their advanced societies thriving on clean, abundant energy, their tools capable of reshaping the very landscape with a precision that borders on the divine. This isn't just about building incredible structures, it's about a profound, almost spiritual, understanding of the energetic universe. It suggests a civilization that wasn't just technologically advanced, but also deeply attuned to the subtle forces that govern reality. They understood resonance, harmonics, the power of frequency, not as abstract concepts, but as practical tools. Their science was perhaps indistinguishable from what we might call magic, a seamless integration of physics, consciousness, and the natural world. But here's where the terrifying truly sets in. Such power, such mastery over the fundamental forces of existence, carries with it an immense, almost unimaginable risk. If they could soften stone, could they not also destabilize geological formations? If they could manipulate gravity, Could they not inadvertently trigger seismic events or alter planetary rotation? If they could tap into Earth's energy grid, what happens if that grid is overloaded, misused, or catastrophically disrupted? The very technology that allowed them to build wonders might have been the catalyst for their undoing. Could the Great Flood, the planetary cataclysm, have been exacerbated or even triggered by a miscalculation in their energetic experiments? A resonant frequency gone awry, a localized gravity field collapsing, an overloaded crystal grid unleashing an unimaginable surge of energy that interacted catastrophically with natural planetary forces. The idea that humanity could have reached such a pinnacle of power only to inadvertently unleash its own destruction through hubris or error is a chilling prospect. It transforms the quote 22 sems of the ruins from a mere lament into a dire warning. And this warning resonates even more profoundly in our own era. We stand at the precipice of similar discoveries. Our physicists delve into quantum mechanics, exploring the interconnectedness of all things, the vibrational nature of matter. Our engineers flirt with concepts of free energy, anti-gravity propulsion, and consciousness-driven technologies. We are, in many ways, rediscovering the very principles that this pre-flood civilization might have mastered millennia ago. Are we ready for such power? Do we possess the wisdom, the ethical framework, the collective consciousness to wield such fundamental forces without repeating the catastrophic mistakes of our predecessors? Or are we, like them, destined to reach a peak of technological prowess, only to be swallowed by a catastrophe of our own making? The ruins of Pumapunku, Baalbek, Göbekli Tepe, Yonaguni, the Osirian. They are not just archaeological puzzles. They are a mirror reflecting our own potential and our own peril. They whisper of a forgotten science, a terrifying power, and a global catastrophe that serves as a stark reminder of the fragility of even the most advanced civilizations. They challenge us not just to understand what happened, but to truly grasp why it happened, and to ask ourselves what lessons we, the inheritors of a broken world, are truly prepared to learn. The past in this context is not just history, it is a prophecy, an urgent call to introspection before our own. Quote 23 becomes another forgotten echo in the annals of a cyclical, terrifyingly repetitive human story. We've peeled back the layers of dust and dogma, haven't we? We've looked at the impossible cuts of Pumapunku, where megalithic blocks weighing hundreds of tons are sculpted with a precision that defies any known ancient tool, interlocking like a cosmic jigsaw puzzle. We've gazed upon the submerged majesty of Yonaguni, its colossal terraced structures rising from the ocean floor, bearing tool marks and right angles that speak of deliberate design, not geological caprice. We've explored the subterranean secrets of the Osirian at Abydos, its monolithic granite pillars echoing a forgotten grandeur beneath the sands, and the colossal defiance of Baalbek, where the trilithon stones, each weighing more than 1,000 tons, sit effortlessly in place, as if lifted by an unseen hand. And we've stood in awe before the mind-bending antiquity of Göbekli Tepe, older than agriculture, older than pottery, a complex of intricately carved T-pillars that rewrites the very timeline of civilization. We've dared to imagine a technology so profound it makes our modern marvels seem like child's play. Vibrational physics, capable of softening stone to clay and hardening it back to granite. Perhaps with a mere thought or a specific sonic frequency, that resonated with the very atomic structure of the material. Imagine the air thrumming with a low, resonant hum, the very molecules of granite shimmering, losing their rigid structure like ice, melting into water, then resolidifying with an audible snap into forms of unimaginable complexity and strength. We've envisioned anti-gravity not as a theoretical concept, but as a practical everyday application, lifting megatons with an unseen hand, rendering cranes and heavy machinery obsolete, making the construction of structures like Baalbek's Trilithon an effortless ballet of mass and energy. And energy harnessing, drawing power directly from the earth itself, a perpetual clean source that rendered fossil fuels a barbaric notion. This wasn't just engineering, this was a symbiotic relationship with the planet's fundamental forces. But what if these astonishing capabilities were merely the surface of their understanding? What if these physical manipulations were just one facet of a far grander, far more terrifying comprehension of reality? We're not just talking about advanced engineering here, the kind that might build a supercomputer or a spaceship. We're talking about a civilization that fundamentally understood the very fabric of existence in ways we are only now, hesitantly, beginning to glimpse. A civilization whose, quote, just 24, was so integrated with what we call, quote, 25, that the two were indistinguishable, forming a unified field of knowledge. Imagine for a moment, if they could manipulate matter at a molecular level, shaping stone with the precision of a laser, creating perfect angles and impossible joints, what else could they do? Could they have understood the very nature of energy itself, not just how to tap into it, but how to generate it, transmute it from one form to another, perhaps even create it from the vacuum of space-time, drawing on the zero-point energy that modern physics only hypothesizes? We speak of quote 26 as a utopian dream, a whispered hope for a future devoid of scarcity and conflict over resources. But for them, was it simply a foundational principle, as common and ubiquitous as electricity is to us? A basic utility, like breathing clean air or drinking pure water, woven into the very infrastructure of their society. What would a world truly liberated from energy scarcity even look like? One might ponder, gazing at the silent ruins, attempting to grasp the sheer scope of such abundance. Consider their grasp of the subtle energies of our planet. Modern science, with its satellites and seismic sensors, confirms the existence of global energetic currents, magnetic anomalies, and telluric lines crisscrossing the Earth like an invisible circulatory system. What if these pre-flood architects weren't just building structures, but instruments? What if sites like Göbekli Tepe, Puma Punku, and the Bosnian pyramids were strategically placed, not just as temples or cities, but as nodes within a vast planetary energy grid? Imagine a global network, a colossal machine built into the very bones of the Earth, designed to harness, amplify, and distribute energy on a scale we can barely fathom. Did they feel the Earth's pulse beneath their feet? A constant hum of power flowing through the very ground they walked on. Such a network wouldn't just power their cities, illuminating their advanced urban centers with a soft, ethereal glow. It could have influenced weather patterns, steering hurricanes, nurturing fertile lands, or even mitigating droughts. It could have stabilized tectonic plates, preventing devastating earthquakes and volcanic eruptions, making their world a paradise of geological serenity. It could have facilitated instantaneous global communication, making our internet look like smoke signals, a direct neural network linking minds across continents. Could they have understood the relationship between consciousness and energy, using these monumental structures as conduits for collective thought, amplifying intention, perhaps even to influence reality itself, to shape their environment and their destiny with the sheer force of their united will? This isn't just technology, this is metaphysics, made manifest in stone, a living, breathing connection between thought and matter. The very air they breathed might have been imbued with a sense of collective purpose, a shared awareness that transcended individual minds. The implications are staggering, aren't they? If they understood the universe to this degree, their worldview must have been utterly alien to our own fragmented materialistic paradigm. They likely saw no hard distinction between science and spirituality, between the physical and the ethereal. For them, it was all part of a unified field, an interconnected tapestry of energy and information. Their quote 27 was merely an application of this holistic wisdom, a practical manifestation of their profound understanding of the cosmos. Did they see the stars not as distant points of light, but as nodes in an even grander universal grid, their own planet a mere component? Their art would have been geometric perfection, their music resonant frequencies that healed and uplifted. Their very lives a constant meditation on the interconnectedness of all things. And this is where the terrifying aspect truly emerges. Such immense power, such profound knowledge. What were the consequences? Was their downfall a cosmic accident, a natural disaster of unimaginable scale that simply overwhelmed even their mastery, a rogue asteroid or a sudden shift in the Earth's axis? Or, and this is the more chilling thought, was their ultimate demise a direct consequence of their own power, a catastrophic miscalculation, a hubris that pushed them beyond the limits of what even a planet could endure? Did they, in their endless pursuit of mastery, inadvertently awaken forces they could no longer control? Perhaps a collective shiver ran through their advanced minds in the final days. Are we pushing too far? A whisper might have begun in the collective consciousness, quickly drowned out by the roar of scientific ambition, the thrill of mastery. We can control this, they might have assured themselves, even as the tremors began, even as the sky itself began to crackle with an unnatural energy. The ruins of these civilizations are not just silent testaments to their existence, they are a silent scream, a scream echoing across the millennia, warning us of the immense responsibility that comes with such power, the razor's edge between creation and annihilation. They built structures that defy time, but they themselves could not defy fate. What kind of cataclysm could erase such an advanced civilization so utterly, leaving only these enigmatic fragments, these tantalizing whispers of a forgotten age? A global flood, yes, but was it merely water, or was it a symptom of a deeper planetary upheaval, perhaps even triggered by the very forces they sought to control, a backlash from a planet pushed too far? The Earth, a living entity, might have shrugged off its burdens, its advanced but overreaching inhabitants. And then there is the quote 20. How could humanity forget such a monumental chapter of its own story? How could the knowledge of a global advanced civilization capable of such wonders be reduced to scattered myths of gods and giants, of flying chariots and impossibly strong beings. This isn't just a loss of memory, it's an act of historical violence, a collective lobotomy performed on the human race. Was it a natural consequence of survivors struggling in a post-apocalyptic world, their advanced knowledge becoming useless burdens in a fight for basic survival, their priorities shifting from cosmic understanding to finding the next meal? Or was it something more deliberate, a conscious decision made by the few who remained, or even by a force beyond humanity? Consider Göbekli Tepe, intentionally buried beneath tons of earth. Why? To preserve it from the coming catastrophe, a time capsule for a future humanity to discover? Or to hide its secrets from those who would follow, a dangerous knowledge deemed too potent for a nascent civilization? The idea that our history isn't just forgotten, but deliberately obscured, is profoundly unsettling. It suggests that someone, or something, wanted this knowledge to remain lost, to ensure a clean slate, a reset for humanity. But why? To protect us from ourselves, from repeating their catastrophic mistakes? Or to control the narrative of our origins, to keep us ignorant of our true potential and the vastness of our past? Perhaps a few, the last custodians of true knowledge, made the agonizing choice, their hearts heavy with the weight of both preservation and obliteration. It is too dangerous for them, for the nascent world that will follow. They might have concluded, their tears mingling with the rising waters. This great amnesia means that we are living a half-truth, a fragmented story. It means that our understanding of human potential, our place in the cosmos, and the very nature of reality itself has been severely limited by the catastrophic events that preceded us. We are like children sifting through the wreckage of a forgotten empire, mistaking its broken parts for simple stones, unaware of the vast, intricate machinery they once comprised, unaware of the true legacy of our species. The limitations we perceive in ourselves might simply be the lingering shadows of a forgotten past. And here we stand today, on the precipice of our own technological revolution. We are rediscovering aspects of this lost knowledge, albeit through a different lens. Quantum mechanics is challenging our understanding of matter and consciousness, hinting at interconnectedness we once dismissed as mystical. Artificial intelligence is pushing the boundaries of what it means to be intelligent, to create, to perceive. The search for clean, abundant energy continues, a modern quest for what they perhaps considered elementary. We are, in a sense, retracing their steps, approaching the very thresholds of power and understanding that they once crossed. The echoes of their brilliance resonate in our laboratories, our theories, our dreams. The question then becomes terrifyingly urgent. Are we learning from their fate? Or are we, in our modern hubris, blinded by our own rapid advancements, doomed to repeat the cycle? Will our own advanced civilization, with its unprecedented power to reshape the planet and its inhabitants, succumb to a similar cataclysm, leaving behind only enigmatic ruins for a future, primitive humanity to ponder, to weave into their own myths of gods and giants? The silent scream of these pre-flood civilizations echoes across the millennia, a chilling warning embedded in stone. The greater the power, the greater the fall, and the more profound the knowledge, the more terrifying its implications when misunderstood, misused, or utterly forgotten. What secrets truly lie buried beneath the sands of time, waiting to be unearthed? And what will they tell us about our own inevitable future, our own potential for both creation and ultimate destruction. The answers may determine whether we rise to their heights or merely follow their path into oblivion. We've journeyed through the impossible, haven't we? From the monolithic precision of Puma Punku, where stones weighing hundreds of tons are cut with a surgical accuracy that defies modern capabilities, to the submerged enigma of Yonaguni, a colossal structure resting beneath the churning waters off the coast of Japan, its sharp angles and terraced steps whispering of a civilization lost to the waves. We've explored the subterranean majesty of the Osirian, a granite temple in Egypt whose cyclopean blocks are so perfectly fitted they seem to grow from the earth itself, and gazed in bewildered silence at the sheer, incomprehensible scale of Baalbek, where the trilithon stones, each weighing over 1,000 tons, mock our engineering prowess. We've stood in awe before Göbekli Tepe, a series of megalithic enclosures dating back 12,000 years, a testament to a wisdom that defies our historical timelines, pushing the dawn of complex civilization back thousands of years before the accepted narrative. Each site is a punch to the gut of established history, a silent scream against the comfortable theories of linear human development. We've speculated on anti-gravity, vibrational physics, and energy manipulation, technologies that sound like science fiction, pulled straight from the pages of a futuristic novel. Yet the undeniable remnants of these very concepts stare us down from ancient stones, etched into their very molecular structure. The precision, the sheer weight, the impossible placements, they are not mere puzzles, they are deliberate challenges. They force us to confront the uncomfortable truth that our understanding of the past is at best incomplete, and at worst fundamentally flawed. My mind reels, grappling with the implications. How could such feats be achieved without a mastery of principles we are only now beginning to dimly perceive? It's as if an entire chapter of human history has been torn out, leaving only cryptic footnotes. But as we peel back these layers of time, as we allow the dust of academic dogma to settle and truly look at what lies beneath, a deeper, more unsettling question emerges from the abyss. Why don't we remember? This isn't just about the physical destruction wrought by a global cataclysm, a deluge so profound it reset the very fabric of our planet, scouring landscapes clean, burying cities under millennia of sediment, and reshaping continents. No, the true terror lies not just in the catastrophe itself, in the unimaginable force that could bring such a world to its knees, but in the erasure that followed. How could an entire global civilization, a network of beings capable of such monumental feats, a civilization that built wonders that dwarf anything we can achieve today, simply vanish from collective memory? How could their unified knowledge, their profound understanding of the cosmos and the earth, be reduced to fragmented myths of gods and giants, of golden ages and devastating floods? This isn't just an amnesia, a passive fading of distant memories over generations. It feels like a deliberate obscuration, a veil drawn over the past, a conscious act of forgetting forced upon us. The thought sends a shiver down my spine, a cold dread that touches something primal within me. What could be so important, so dangerous, that it necessitated such a profound and universal silence? Consider Göbekli Tepe again, buried, not simply abandoned to the elements, left to crumble under the relentless march of time, but meticulously, intentionally interred by its creators. Imagine the sheer scale of that undertaking, not to build, but to hide. Consider the manpower, the organization, the collective will, required to shovel millions of cubic feet of earth and rock, carefully covering these monumental T-shaped pillars, these intricately carved totems, these sacred enclosures. It wasn't a rushed, desperate act of survival. It was a planned, deliberate concealment. Was it to preserve it from the coming cataclysm? A time capsule for a future humanity, a message in a bottle cast into the ocean of time, hoping it would one day be found and understood? Or was it to conceal something so profound, so potentially dangerous, that it had to be removed from circulation, deemed too potent for the fragile minds of a reborn world? The image forms in my mind a council of ancient custodians, their faces etched with a wisdom we can barely conceive, debating the fate of their legacy. "We must bury it," one might have argued, his voice resonating with a deep sadness. "The knowledge here, in the wrong hands, could destroy what little remains." Another might have countered, "But is it not our duty to preserve it, to give future generations a chance to reclaim what was lost?" The silence that followed such a debate must have been deafening, heavy with the weight of humanity's future. Were the custodians of this advanced knowledge, perhaps a surviving remnant of the pre-flood epoch, making a choice for us? A choice to shield us from truths they deemed too potent, too destructive, or too easily misused by a less evolved post-cataclysmic species. The thought that our ancestors chose our ignorance is terrifying in its implications. It suggests not just a loss, a tragic accident of history, but a judgment upon our collective capacity, an assessment that we, their distant descendants, were not ready, perhaps even unworthy, of the full breadth of their legacy. It implies a profound responsibility, a paternalistic decision made on a scale that beggars belief. Perhaps the Justin quote 33 says wasn't a passive forgetting, a natural erosion of memory over vast stretches of time, but an active process of simplification, of mythologizing. Imagine survivors, scattered and traumatized, witnessing the collapse of everything they knew. Their incredible technologies, once commonplace, as ubiquitous as our smartphones are today, would become utterly indistinguishable from magic. The complex algorithms, the energy conduits, the resonant frequencies, all reduced to inexplicable phenomena. Their scientific principles, once universally understood and applied, would be reduced to cryptic parables, whispered around flickering campfires. The subtle nuances of vibrational physics, the manipulation of sound and frequency to affect matter, might become the song of creation or the voice of the gods that shaped the world. Anti-gravity, the effortless lifting of immense weights, might be explained as winged chariots carrying deities across the heavens or levitating mountains built by powerful spirits. We, today, scoff at these myths, dismissing them as primitive imaginings, the fanciful tales of superstitious minds. But what if they are merely echoes, distorted whispers of a truth too grand for our current frameworks to comprehend, too complex to be accurately translated into the rudimentary language of a shattered world? What if the magic was simply science beyond our current comprehension, remembered imperfectly, like a dream that fades upon waking? And what of the nature of their fall? We speak of the Great Flood, but that was the event, the catastrophic culmination, not necessarily the cause. Was it a cosmic impact? A rogue asteroid tearing through the atmosphere, plunging the world into a cataclysmic winter and unleashing tsunamis of unimaginable height? Was it a sudden, violent pole shift wrenching the Earth's crust, causing continents to buckle and oceans to surge, or a solar flare of unprecedented magnitude stripping away our atmosphere, frying our electronics, and unleashing a torrent of radiation? The images flashed through my mind, a sky ablaze, the ground trembling, the roar of the ocean consuming everything. Or was it, as some terrifyingly suggest, a consequence of their own hubris, a miscalculation of their advanced technologies? Did they, in their mastery of matter and energy, inadvertently unleash forces they could no longer control? Did their attempts to harness the very fabric of reality, perhaps tapping into zero-point energy, manipulating space-time, or even altering the planetary magnetic field, tear it asunder? The thought that a civilization so advanced could be the architect of its own undoing, that their ultimate power became their ultimate weakness, a poisoned chalice, is a chilling prospect for us, standing on the precipice of our own technological revolution. It's a warning etched not just in stone, but in the very silence of their disappearance. Think about our own trajectory. We are rapidly approaching the ability to manipulate genetics, to create artificial intelligence that could surpass human intellect, to harness energies that could reshape our world, for good or ill. We are specialists, fragmenting knowledge into countless disciplines, each a silo, rarely communicating across the vast intellectual divides. Our physicists rarely converse deeply with our spiritual leaders. Our engineers seldom consult our philosophers. We chase progress with a blind fervour, often divorced from ethical considerations or holistic understanding. But what if the pre-flood civilizations possessed a unified field of understanding? What if their science was spiritual, their technology holistic? What if they understood that manipulating the physical world required an equal mastery of the inner world, of consciousness, of ethical responsibility? What if they recognized that true advancement wasn't just about what you could do, but what you should do, and the profound interconnectedness of all things? Their buildings weren't just structures, they were instruments, resonating with the Earth's energies, aligning with celestial bodies, perhaps even acting as conduits for consciousness. If they did, then their fall wasn't just a physical catastrophe, it was a spiritual one, a rupture in the delicate balance they had achieved between mastery and wisdom, between power and responsibility. It was a failure of self, a collapse of the inner world mirroring the devastation of the outer, and the remaining ruins, the silent screams etched in stone, aren't just a testament to their power, to their incredible ingenuity. They are a dire, urgent warning about the consequences of unbridled power without profound wisdom, without a deep understanding of the sacredness of existence. The terrifying implication here is that we are not unique. We are not the first, and if history is indeed cyclical, if humanity repeatedly rises to such heights only to be reset by a cataclysm, natural or self-inflicted, then these ruins are not merely archaeological curiosities, relics of a forgotten age. They are a mirror. They reflect our potential, yes, the boundless creativity and ingenuity of the human spirit. But they also reflect our profound vulnerability, our capacity for self-destruction, and the fragility of our achievements in the face of forces, both cosmic and internal, that we barely comprehend. They whisper of a future that could be ours, not just in terms of technological marvels, but in terms of catastrophic erasure, a return to primordial chaos. Do you truly believe we are immune? Do you think our satellites, our internet, our nuclear arsenals, our fragmented understanding will save us if a similar planetary upheaval occurs? Or if we, in our hubris, unleash a force we cannot contain, a technology that spirals beyond our control? Imagine our global networks collapsing, our digital knowledge vanishing, our complex societies unraveling in mere weeks. The pre-flood civilizations had technologies that make ours look like toys, yet they were swallowed whole. Their monuments stand as a testament to their genius, their profound connection to the earth and cosmos, but their silence is a testament to their ultimate failure to endure, to transmit their full story to us. This is why these civilizations are most terrifying. Not just because of their inexplicable power, their mastery over forces we can only dream of, but because they represent a lost future, a path taken and then abruptly ended. They are a ghost limb of human history, a phantom ache that reminds us of what was and what could be again, both the glory and the utter, absolute devastation. They challenge our entire understanding of human progress, suggesting that we are not at the apex of a linear climb, but perhaps merely rediscovering fragments of a wisdom once universally held, only to be lost, time and time again. The stones of Pumapunku, impossibly cut, the depths of Yonaguni, silently waiting, the weight of Baalbek defying gravity and reason. They do not just speak of an ancient past, they speak of a potential future. They ask us, with the gravitas of millennia, will you listen? Will you learn from our silence, from the echoes of our triumph and our fall? Or will you too become another silent scream in the vast forgotten annals of a civilization that simply could not be explained? Another footnote in a history that refuses to be truly remembered. The choice, as always, is ours, but the clock, we suspect, is ticking, and the echoes of their demise grow louder with every passing generation, a chilling premonition in the wind. We've peeled back layers of conventional history, haven't we? We've stared into the impossible precision of Pumapunku, felt the chilling silence of Göbekli Tepe, and imagined the submerged cities of Yonaguni. But as we stand at the precipice of this forgotten era, a profound sense of awe mixed with a deep, unsettling unease washes over us. We must confront not just the what and the how of these magnificent ruins, but the terrifying why. Why did an entire civilization capable of such monumental feats vanish so completely from our collective memory? Why the great amnesia? It's a question that echoes in the silent stones, a mystery that gnaws at the edges of our understanding, demanding more than just academic curiosity. It demands introspection, a willingness to challenge everything we thought we knew about human history and potential. It's more than just a loss of architectural techniques or advanced mathematics. What we're truly talking about is the erasure of a fundamental understanding of reality itself. Imagine not just knowing how to build with stone, but knowing how to manipulate the very molecular structure of stone. Envision a world where granite could be softened like clay, shaped with an almost ethereal ease, then rehardened to an unimaginable density, not through brute force or crude tools, but through an exquisite, almost artistic application of pure knowledge. This isn't construction as we understand it. It's a form of elemental alchemy, a mastery over the vibrational frequencies that compose all matter. When we speak of Segdus quote 40, we're not talking about some fringe theory whispered in hushed tones. We're talking about the very bedrock of existence, the universal language of the cosmos, a grand symphony of energy that underpins every atom, every star, every thought. It's a whisper from the very fabric of existence, a primordial hum that, once understood, unlocks creation itself. The implications are staggering, forcing us to redefine the very limits of what sentience can achieve. These pre-flood civilizations, we contend, didn't just use tools. They became instruments of the Earth's own energetic symphony. They understood that our planet is not merely a solid sphere of rock and water, but a living, breathing entity, a colossal, pulsating heart. Its arteries and veins trace an intricate, unseen web of energetic ley lines, telluric currents, and geomagnetic pathways, crisscrossing continents and oceans. Imagine a global grid, pulsing with unseen power, a planetary nervous system vibrating with latent energy. And these ancient sites, Göbekli Tepe, the Osirian, Baalbek, Pumapunku, were not merely temples or cities, but colossal transducers. They were designed with breathtaking precision and an almost divine foresight to tap into, amplify, and perhaps even direct this planetary energy. One can almost visualize the unseen currents flowing, channeled through megalithic structures, their purpose far beyond simple ritual or dwelling. They were grand machines, silent engines of a forgotten science. Think about it. The very placement of these sites, often at geomagnetic anomalies or powerful energetic vortices, seems far too deliberate to be coincidental. The crystalline properties of certain stones, chosen not just for durability, but for their piezoelectric qualities, their inherent ability to resonate and conduct energy, suggest a profound understanding of material science beyond our current grasp. We see evidence of this in the megalithic structures, where massive blocks weighing hundreds of tons were quarried, transported and fitted with an accuracy that defies our modern capabilities, even with our most advanced machinery. How? Not with brute force, not with thousands of slaves straining against ropes, but with finesse, with a profound understanding of resonance. Perhaps it began with an almost intuitive connection, a deep listening to the Earth's subtle frequencies, passed down through generations until it became a codified science. If you can find the resonant frequency of a material, you can make it weightless, you can make it pliable, you can make it sing. This is what the ancients mastered. They didn't just lift blocks, they tuned them, coaxing them into a state of temporary anti-gravity, guiding them into place with effortless grace. They didn't just cut stone, they rearranged its very atomic lattice, using sound, light, or electromagnetic frequencies, shaping it with precision that makes a laser cutter seem crude. This isn't magic. It's physics at a level we are only now beginning to glimpse with quantum mechanics and theoretical energy fields. They understood that everything vibrates, from the smallest quark to the largest galaxy, and to control that vibration is to control reality itself. To control that vibration is to dance with the fundamental forces, to sculpt reality with intention and knowledge. The thought is exhilarating yet deeply unsettling. But here's where the awe gives way to a chilling apprehension. Such power is a double-edged sword, a force capable of both creation and destruction on an unimaginable scale. If you can manipulate matter at its fundamental level, if you can tap into the Earth's very lifeblood, what are the implications? What happens when this profound knowledge is wielded by a civilization, however enlightened, that might still harbour the seeds of hubris? Was it the hubris of believing they could command nature without truly being one with it? The arrogance of thinking their intellectual prowess transcended the inherent wisdom of the cosmos? This isn't merely a theoretical question. It's a profound ethical dilemma embedded in the very fabric of their vanished existence. We've theorized about a global cataclysm, an astronomical event, a devastating solar flare, a sudden violent shift in Earth's axis. But what if the very instruments they used to harness planetary energy, the very knowledge that allowed them to build their impossible structures, also played a role in their undoing? Could an imbalance in their energetic manipulation have destabilized the Earth's own delicate energetic equilibrium? Could their massive power generation, amplified across a planetary network of sites, have inadvertently contributed to the very forces that tore their world apart? Could their mastery have become a weapon turned upon themselves, a planetary feedback loop spiraling out of control, culminating in a cataclysm of their own making? It's a terrifying thought, isn't it? That the pinnacle of their achievement might have also been the catalyst for their fall, a testament to the destructive potential of unchecked power, no matter how sophisticated its wielders. The silent scream of the ruins isn't just a lament for what was lost, it's a profound warning. These sites, battered by time and swallowed by catastrophe, bear the scars of a civilization that pushed the boundaries of existence to their absolute limit. The very silence that now blankets these sites is pregnant with untold stories, a profound echo of a civilization that pushed the boundaries of existence, perhaps too far. They tell a story not just of incredible ingenuity, of minds that grasp the universe's deepest secrets, but of the immense, almost unbearable responsibility that comes with wielding such elemental power. It's a story etched in shattered megaliths and submerged foundations, a cautionary tale for any who dare to listen. And this brings us back to the Great Amnesia. Was it simply the crushing weight of trauma, the physical destruction so absolute that only fragments of myth and legend could survive? Or was there something more deliberate, more profound at play? Imagine the few survivors witnessing the catastrophic consequences of their advanced knowledge. They had witnessed the unimaginable, the raw, unbridled power of a world unravelling, triggered by their own hands. Perhaps they understood the inherent danger of such power in the hands of a species still prone to conflict, still capable of profound error, still lacking the complete spiritual maturity to match their technological might. What if the, quote 41, wasn't just an accidental consequence, but a deliberate act of concealment, a choice perhaps to bury the most dangerous knowledge, to allow humanity to start anew, to evolve without the temptation of a power that had proven too great, too volatile for their predecessors? It's a chilling thought that our ancestors chose to forget, not out of weakness or intellectual regression, but out of a desperate, profound wisdom. They understood that some truths, some technologies are too potent, too disruptive, if not accompanied by an equally profound level of spiritual and ethical maturity. They sacrificed their legacy for humanity's future, a silent, selfless act of cosmic guardianship. And where does this leave us, modern humanity? standing on the cusp of rediscovering these very same principles. Our particle accelerators probe the fundamental forces of the universe, searching for the Higgs boson and the very fabric of reality. Our quantum physicists grapple with the nature of reality itself, realizing that observation shapes existence. Our researchers pursue free energy, anti-gravity, and the manipulation of matter at increasingly finer scales. We stand now at a similar precipice, our algorithms and accelerators mirroring their ancient understanding of energy fields, unknowingly approaching the very thresholds they crossed millennia ago. The echoes are undeniable, the parallels increasingly stark. The question then becomes, are we ready? Have we cultivated the wisdom, the collective consciousness, the ethical framework necessary to wield such power responsibly? Or are we, in our relentless pursuit of technological advancement, blind to the profound warning etched into these silent, impossible ruins? Are we prepared to face the consequences if our ambition outstrips our empathy, if our knowledge outpaces our wisdom? The choice, my friends, is no longer theirs, it is ours. The pre-flood civilizations offer us more than just archaeological curiosities. They offer a mirror, a reflection of our potential, yes, but also a stark, terrifying glimpse of the precipice we might be unknowingly approaching. It reflects not just the dazzling brilliance of their potential, but the terrifying shadow of their fall. We must look beyond the conventional, beyond the comfortable narratives, and truly see what these ancient stones are desperately trying to tell us. Because the lessons of the Great Flood and the Great Amnesia that followed are not just history. They are urgent, existential warnings, vibrating across the millennia, waiting for us to finally attune ourselves to their frequency and truly listen.